Hi everyone, it's Diana Rankin coming to you with this week's soul messages and a few predictions. And it is for the week of May 31st to the 29th, I believe, or is it the 27th? The 27th. We only have 7 days in the week, don't we? So it's May 21st to the 27th. You know, I have trouble with those numbers. Okay, this is going to be a week of turmoil. Ugh. How is that going to play out in our lives? Well, you may find in your own bodies that you're holding a lot of stress. So you may find, I'm hearing from a lot of my clients, a lot of digestive upsets, headaches, trouble sleeping, or just wanting to sleep. Uh, those things that stress brings out in our bodies and in our minds. So it's very important this week that we take care of ourselves, and I'm going to go over that in a little bit more depth. But I want to explain what is happening. Why is there so much turmoil in the world? Why is there so much anger, so much ugliness going on in our world right now? Now, those of you who are familiar with my work know that I live in the U.S. I live in rural Ohio, uh, which is an interesting and absolutely beautiful place to live, by the way. But my perspective is coming from the U.S. politics, and although I keep in touch with the world politics, the energy is going to be strongest where I live, and I live on what was once land that a couple of different Native American tribes lived on. So the Shawnee Nation lived here. Some of my relatives, my background is Celtic, is Scottish and Irish and Scotch Irish, and also Delaware, and so some of my relatives lived around here as well. That said, I want to talk about this turmoil. We can't stop the turmoil. We don't want to dig our heads in the sand and ignore it. That's not our job either. Our job is to stay above the fray, to recognize the turmoil that's going on, but also and hold our politicians' feet to the fire, so to speak. At the same time, we want to send their spirit love. You know, someone asked me earlier this morning, actually, is do I think our president recognizes the what he says causes upset? I don't remember her exact words, but I do remember her asking if I felt our president in the U.S. understood. I think he understands he's creating turmoil, but I don't think he understands why. I don't think the human self doesn't quite get it. However, I want to say we must continue to send love to the spirit self. You know, I believe it's I believe it comes from the Hebrew tradition. There's a story of Michael the archangel sitting on one hand of God, and the Satan sitting on the other, Lucifer. And they were both angels at the time, both archangels. And God said, I need a story. And so he said to Lucifer, he said, will you go into the world and create havoc and create evil deeds? And then Michael the archangel, God said, will you hold this world in love and good deeds? And Lucifer and Michael looked at each other and said, oh God, we're brothers. We cannot fight one another. And Lucifer and uh, Michael finally said, and God said, but I'm asking you to. And so they both looked at each other and looked at God and said, all right, God, we love you so much that we will act out good and evil until we can come back together as good in your presence. I may not have that story exactly. That just came through my mind quickly there, and it's been a while since I've actually read or told the story, but you get the gist that we do have good and evil acts in the world. And so it's not to ignore what's going on in our world. Absolutely not. It is to call out that which is an evil act or a wrongdoing. And it is at the same time, though, to love the spirit, the person's soul, the person's spirit, and to send love to that person's spirit, even though condemning the act, but loving the person. So we have to condemn the act, and we have to love the person. Now, let me explain what is happening, why this is all coming up right now in our world. You know, the ancients tell us that this is the story that was created, and so we are playing it out, and we are playing out that good act and that evil act. And what happens when we have a wound, whether the wound is in us, that's acted out then in the world, if we look at that wound as being sacred, then we're able to heal that wound. Now, let me give you a demonstration here. If I hold my hands up and I say, I have a wound, and here's the wound, and it's open, and it's pussy, and it's painful, and it hurts. And what we tend to do with our wounds is this. We heal them and we put a scar over them. And when we put that scar over them, we can ignore them, or so we think. But look at this. The wound is not healed. The wound just has a scab over it. And what happens is life keeps picking at that scab and picking at that scab until the wound opens again, and we keep closing it, and it'll open, and we keep closing it until we open it and leave it open, and we heal that wound from the inside out. And then we actually stand together in love. Now, again, whether that's in our personal lives or in the world, we have this sacred wound that must be healed. If you're aware of your sacred wound, and most of us have a wound, and those of us who are aware of our sacred wounds, and I think if you're listening to this video, you probably have a sacred wound. You have chosen as a soul to come into this life. And as you've come into this life, you've said, I can do this. I am going into that life and I'm going to heal that wound. It's a commitment you made with yourself and with your soul team, with your God. It's a commitment that you made. But remember, you've got to be very strong to heal that wound. You've got to actually recognize your own spirit. And so you've got to recognize the wound, you've got to recognize the spirit, and you've got to recognize your God self that is strong enough to heal this, and that you're not alone. You've got spirit guides and teachers and healers and angels and all kinds of energy helping you to heal that wound. And as we stop doing this and we start doing this to heal our wounds, that, my friend, is how we heal the world. That's pretty exciting when you think about it. That's pretty exciting. And so one of the ways that we bring the sacred into our everyday lives and start healing this wound is we recognize it, but then we start looking for the sacred in the wound, but in all of our lives. We start bringing the extraordinary into the ordinary. We start, and you've heard me say this before, if you can find happiness in just staring at the beauty of a soap bubble, if you can find happiness doing that, that's pretty extraordinary. That's finding the spirit in the everyday. That's finding the deep joy of what our lives can be. When, look at a sunrise or a sunset, especially. The other night I was driving home from a meeting, and on the drive, it had been a beautiful sunny day, but on the drive, up in the clouds, was a rainbow. Now, it wasn't the thin arch of a rainbow. It was, more like, it was kind of fat, and about this long, if the sky is this big. So it was just the crystals reflecting off of that cloud from the sun's rays. It was absolutely beautiful, and I said, that's a rainbow just for me. So, that's bringing the spiritual into our human lives, and we have to do that because life is so difficult without bringing that in. And that is how we transform this sacred wound and heal it, that we see the wound and we kind of walk right through it, but we bring these really beautiful moments into our lives and know that life is so much more than the wound. Look at a leaf. Have you ever watched a leaf before? like the last leaves of the fall, or even a new leaf in the spring, how the wind and the leaf dance together and play. Just moments like that. Those of you with children or grandchildren, just take a look at them and watch them. You're bringing the sacred into the mundane. I know we can do it, because this is going to be a week of turmoil. I don't know if you can see my desk behind me. It's kind of really messy, and my computer, which is over here, there's more piled up near it. I'm going to take time today to try to clean that up. But what I want you to know is I normally like a cleaner desk, and it always feels good when it's cleaned up. But that's just creativity creating itself. That's our new world that we're creating. That's the chaos that has to come always before the creation. So don't let your desk messiness bother you too much. It's just a little chaos that's going to happen. We're going to have some big turmoil. We'll get through it. We'll get past it. Bring the sacred into your everyday life. Find the extraordinary in the ordinary. Let's see what Philip has to say for us. For those of you who are familiar with these weekly videos, I thank you for coming back. And for those of you who are new, we always get a message from my spirit guide, which is Philip, and we use his book, which he gave to me, the Master's Book of the Answers by Philip. And every page has a different wisdom on it. So we just flip through, and we have to say left page or right page. So get that in mind, left page or right page, and here we go. Now I stopped, but I felt this is not wrong, but I'm going to read both sides, and we may have to do this again, because I'm getting a nudge back here. But, okay, but I do like this one. I'm looking on the left side, and I'm going to read both left and right. Truths cannot be proven. They can only be conceived with the heart. I like that, and it does fit with what we've been talking about. Truths cannot be proven. They can only be conceived with the heart. Now, on the right side, it says, could you not learn more if you first unlearned that which you have already learned? Could you not learn more if you have first unlearned that which you have already learned? Now, since I was a little hesitant there, I'm going to flip through one more time, because it feels like we need another message today. And it feels to me like it's the left side. So here we go. Well, there's where we're stopping. And I think it does fit. Thank you. As you grow to better understand others, you become more aware of how often you have been misunderstood. As you grow to better understand others, you become more aware of how often you have been misunderstood. Now, I want to explain that ever so slightly, because at first blush it seems like, wow, I really have been misunderstood. But that, my friend, is because you understand the sacredness of this wound. Or at least you have felt there's more here than I'm grasping. And so this is not always about understanding the other or forcing the other to understand us. This is about understanding ourselves. And really, as we look at ourselves and understand ourselves, then we can better understand the world, because we've misunderstood ourselves so often. Okay, that's what I'm going to leave you with this week. Just to sum up, it's going to be a week of turmoil. Find the extraordinary in the ordinary. Let your wound heal like this, not like this, because this adds to the turmoil of the world. Let the wound open so you can heal it, so we can really see that shadow self and fill it with sunlight. Thanks, my friends. I'm so glad you've been with me today. I so appreciate your coming and coming back and telling your friends. And I want to also put out there that the 11th caller to sign up for either a psychic reading with me or a coaching session will be given a free hour reading. Now that's a $125 gift that I'm giving away in the month of June. So the 11th person who calls, will receive that gift. How do you reach me? Through my websites. Both of them are below, and they will both take you to uh, my phone number and my email address on the website. Or if we're Facebook friends, contact me there, or even comment below. I'm going to get that 11th call today, probably. All right. Thank you, my friends. I love each and every one of you. I'm so grateful you're here. And also, you can get me through Skype. Love you. Have as much of a peaceful week as you can, and add peace to your life and to the world. Thank you.